Hello, I am TOROS. Welcome to What's Happening in Turkey. A picture of collapsing free speech. This week, Turkey witnessed a disturbing moment that once again exposed the deep erosion of freedom of expression under President Erdoğan's rule, and revealed how dangerously far the state is willing to go to silence dissent. The trigger? A cartoon published by Leman, one of Turkey's oldest and most iconic satirical magazines. Known for its biting political humor, Leman has long been part of the country's cultural tradition of satire. A tradition that, despite increasing authoritarianism, still dares to challenge power. But this time, the government reacted with unprecedented aggression. The cartoon showed two winged figures named Muhammad and Musa greeting each other above a war-torn city. The magazine clarified, these were not depictions of religious figures, but a tribute to two Palestinian civilians, Muhammad and Musa, who died in Gaza. They stressed their long-standing respect for religious sensitivities. But that explanation didn't matter. President Erdoğan labeled the cartoon a disgusting attack and a clear provocation. The Istanbul chief prosecutor opened an immediate investigation for insulting religious values. On social media, pro-government figures framed the cartoon as blasphemy, fueling public outrage. Soon, angry crowds gathered outside Leman's Istanbul's office, chanting radical slogans, "Long live Sharia," and "Either they die or we do." The police stood by. Then, in scenes reminiscent of political repression elsewhere, Istanbul police stormed the building. 4 Leman employees were violently detained, handcuffed behind their backs, and paraded out like criminals. Interior Minister Ali Yerlikaya later shared images of their arrest, images many human rights lawyers described as bordering on torture. Leman's latest issue was pulled from shelves. Access to its website and social media was blocked nationwide. A chilling echo of the past. The timing of this crackdown struck a deep nerve in Turkey. It coincided with the anniversary of one of the darkest chapters in the country's modern history, the Sivas Massacre, also known as the Madımak Hotel tragedy. On 2nd of July 1993, during a cultural festival in Sivas, a radical mob incited by religious leaders after Friday prayers surrounded the hotel where dozens of intellectuals, artists and writers were staying. The crowd demanded the enforcement of Islamic law, set the building on fire, and blocked emergency responders. 35 people were killed, burned alive or suffocated. The massacre remains a symbol of Turkey's unresolved struggle with religious extremism, intolerance, and state complicity. 32 years later, the events around Leman have reignited fears that the same dangerous mix of radicalism and weak governance is once again being weaponized, this time to crush free expression. The Leman controversy serves another purpose. It conveniently shifted public attention away from the deepening political crisis engulfing President Erdoğan's government. 100 days since İmamoğlu's arrest. It has now been 100 days since İmamoğlu's popular mayor, Ekrem İmamoğlu, was jailed, in what many see as the most blatant example yet of Erdoğan's use of the judiciary to sideline opponents. On the very day İmamoğlu secured his party's presidential nomination through primaries involving nearly 15 million voters, he was arrested. The backlash was immediate. Tens of thousands gathered outside Istanbul's historic Saraçhane district in protest, and for the first time, global news agency Reuters broadcast the demonstration live, signaling growing international concern over Turkey's democratic backsliding. Even within Erdoğan's ruling AKP, cracks are showing. Leaked recordings this week revealed an internal admission. If we release İmamoğlu now, we're finished. A resignation that speaks volumes. The government's crackdown doesn't stop with arrests. It recently emerged that Istanbul University cancelled İmamoğlu's university diploma just one day before his detention, a move widely condemned as politically motivated. At the time, the dean of the business faculty, Professor Ahmet Köse, resigned. Officially, it was for health reasons, but court documents now reveal the real reason. Köse resigned in protest, unwilling to endorse the diploma's cancellation. The academic, like many Turks, refused to participate in the weaponization of institutions for political ends. Erdoğan's two-track strategy: repression and control. Turkey is heading into a tense second half of 2025. The government is pursuing a calculated two-track strategy: tighten control at home while navigating the complex geopolitical chessboard abroad. With wars in Ukraine and the Middle East, Turkey's geographic and political importance has grown. Erdoğan leverages this to deflect criticism, presenting himself as an indispensable global player while dismantling domestic opposition. But dissent continues. In Izmir, Turkey's third largest city and an opposition stronghold, 60 people, including a former mayor, were arrested this week. Many were sent directly to court, bypassing standard police procedures. Over the weekend, the mayors of Adana, Antalya and Adıyaman were also taken into custody. The message is unmistakable. Opposition-run cities are fair game. Meanwhile, the media remains under siege. Two of Turkey's largest opposition TV networks faced 10-day broadcasting bans this week for minor administrative violations, a pretext many fear will be used to shut them down entirely before the next elections. Erdoğan's warning: stay in Ankara. President Erdoğan recently issued a thinly veiled threat to the opposition: stick to Ankara-based politics. Translation: debate, argue, but stay off the streets. Yet, as frustration mounts and polls show the ruling AKP slipping to second place, the pressure on civil society, the media, and opposition parties is only intensifying. In response, the main opposition leader called Erdoğan's offer a political bribe, adding, "I'd rather share a prison cell in Silivri with Ekrem İmamoğlu than accept it." It was a response of unprecedented severity. The coming months will test Turkey's fragile democracy like never before. The choice is stark. Will the opposition play by a system rigged against them, or will they risk confrontation, mass protests, and international attention to demand change? Whatever happens, one thing is certain: Turkey's political climate is heating up, and the world is watching. I'm TARIK TOROS. Thank you for watching What's Happening in Turkey. See you next week.